Hi, and welcome to this section of the Chemistry Tutor. In this section, we're going to cover an incredibly central part of chemistry. Very, very important. That's the concept of the atomic theory of matter. In this section, I'm going to explain what the atomic theory of matter is to you, give you a few things that are incredibly important for you to know. In the next section, we're going to apply what we've done here and work a lot of problems to give you some good confidence with what we're talking about. The atomic theory of matter has a long history. You can open your chemistry book and you can see what people have been trying to figure out the ideas behind matter and chemical reactions for a very long time, because after all, chemical reactions are all around us. You can see that iron rusts, you can see lots of other chemical reactions. So through the centuries, people have been trying to figure out how this stuff works. How do things combine? How do things change from one substance into another? So there was a whole part of history in alchemy where people were trying to convert something, lead into gold, for instance, so they could become rich, and so on. So throughout the ages, people put forth different theories for how substances basically react. How do they change? Of course, they didn't have microscopes. They didn't have the internet. They didn't have a lot of knowledge before them as far as getting on the right path. So it's really amazing that people were able to come up with these theories so long ago, before the advent of what we would consider modern technology. The first atomic theory that really made a lot of sense in comparison to what we know to be true is John Dalton's atomic theory. So in your chemistry book, you'll probably see a little historical section of how it all evolved. But eventually you land on Dalton's atomic theory, because that's really what we know to be more or less true. So what we're going to start talking about here is Dalton's atomic theory and all that stuff. Now, one thing I'll say before we get started, don't get worried about it. Most of the stuff you already know. We're just going to formulate it in a bulletproof way. And the things that you don't know, I promise you, they'll make so much sense that you'll wonder why you didn't know them in the first place. All right. First thing is, and I'm going to write these down because they're very, very important. I could just tell you, but I think there's something to be gained by seeing it written down. So for John Dalton's atomic theory, here we go. Here are the bullet points. All matter, and that means everything, gases, liquids, wood, metal, every single thing you've ever touched is made of small particles called, and you guessed it, atoms. And it's hard for us here in the 21st century to realize how incredible of a jump this was for people to know that to be true. Because when you look at this sheet of paper, absolutely nothing about it tells you that it should be made of small, teeny tiny little indivisible things we call atoms. Nothing at all. They didn't have microscopes to be able to really examine them. When the microscopes were invented, they had a very limited power. And even today, we have a hard time imaging individual atoms. It's something that's not easy to do. So to be able to come up with a theory and boldly say that everything is made of these things called atoms is a tremendous leap forward. So that's bullet point number one. Okay? Second thing, all atoms of a given element, and when we say element, we're talking about elements on the periodic table, all elements are alike in mass and other